All right, so getting ready for a job interview can be kind of nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
especially when it's for a cool gig like Cider Fermentation Operator. But
Yeah.
no worries, though. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
In this deep dive, we're going to break down some common interview questions
Yeah,
and give you the inside scoop on how to craft those killer answers.
for sure.
Think of us as your, personal cider-making interview coaches.
That's a great way to put it.
So,
Yeah, we'll be using real interview questions. Pulled straight from RoleCatcher, this awesome platform that's all about, helping you navigate the job search process.
yeah, for sure.
And they even have these, super cool AI-powered tools that can analyze your experience
Wow.
and tailor your responses for specific roles.
That's awesome.
We'll sprinkle in some tips about that as we go.
Okay, awesome. So let's get this fermentation party started.
Let's do it.
First up, imagine you're sitting across from the hiring manager, right?
Okay.
And they ask you, can you tell us about your experience with cider fermentation? Now, you might be thinking, wait, I haven't exactly been running a commercial cider operation since I was a kid.
Right.
But here's the thing. It's all about highlighting those relevant skills that you do have,
Yes.
even if they come from different areas.
Exactly. To think about it, fermentation is basically just controlled spoilage. Right.
Yeah.
So any experience that you have with things like baking, brewing, even working in a lab environment,
Huh.
where precision and following procedures were key,
Yeah.
those can all be valuable assets to highlight.
That's a great point. If you've ever, carefully monitored the rise of bread dough
Yeah.
or meticulously recorded data in a lab notebook, you've already got some fermentation chops,
You do.
even if you didn't realize it.
That's right.
And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you connect those dots
Oh, wow.
by analyzing your work history and suggesting relevant skills to highlight in your answer.
That's really cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it really is. Now, let's say the interviewer follows up with, how do you ensure quality and consistency during fermentation? This is where they're really trying to gauge your understanding of the whole process
Yeah.
and your attention to detail.
Okay, so what kind of things should be top of mind when answering this one?
So think about all those factors that can affect the fermentation process.
Okay.
Temperature control,
Mm-hmm.
monitoring pH levels,
Yeah.
making sure the yeast is healthy and happy,
Okay.
and keeping a close eye on that sugar content.
Okay, so we've got temperature, pH, yeast health, and sugar content,
Yes,
all on our radar.
it's a lot.
But let's zoom in on yeast health for a second, because let's face it, yeast is the real MVP of fermentation.
It is the star of the show.
Can you tell us a bit more about why it's so important?
Absolutely. Different yeast strains can have a huge impact on the final product.
Really?
Yeah, they can affect everything from the speed of fermentation
Wow.
to the flavor profile of the cider.
Okay.
Some yeast strains will produce a much drier cider,
Uh-huh.
while others might create a sweeter, fruitier flavor.
So it's like choosing the right spice for your recipe. The yeast strain you pick can really make or break the final taste.
Absolutely.
And here's where RoleCatcher's AI can come in handy again.
Okay.
It can actually help you tailor your response to the specific equipment
Wow.
and processes used by the company you're interviewing with,
Okay.
showing them you've done your research and are serious about the role.
I like that a lot.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. It's great. Now, even with the best planning and attention to detail, things don't always go smoothly
Right.
in the world of fermentation, right?
Of course.
So interviewers often want to see how you handle those unexpected challenges.
Sure.
And that's where a question like, how do you troubleshoot fermentation issues comes in.
Okay, picture this. You walk into the fermentation room and something seems off.
Oh.
Maybe the aroma isn't quite right, or the fermentation's happening too slowly.
Yeah.
How do you approach that situation?
So it's all about staying calm and taking a systematic approach.
Okay.
First step is accurately identifying the problem.
Okay.
Like, what exactly is going wrong? Once you've pinpointed the issue, then you can start thinking about the potential causes.
Yeah.
Is it related to yeast health,
Okay.
temperature fluctuations, contamination, or something else entirely?
So it's like being a cider detective.
You are a cider detective.
Gathering clues to figure out what's throwing off the fermentation.
Exactly. And once you have a good understanding of the problem and its potential roots,
Uh-huh.
you can start outlining your corrective actions.
Now, sometimes interviewers want to hear about a specific situation you've handled in the past.
Right.
They might ask something like, tell us about a time you had to troubleshoot a particularly challenging issue.
Okay.
How would you advise someone to approach that kind of question?
This is where storytelling comes into play.
Okay.
You want to paint a clear picture for the interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
And a great way to do that is using the STAR method,
Okay.
situation, task, action, and result.
Okay.
It helps you structure your response in a way that's engaging and easy to follow.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
So rather than just saying, oh yeah, I fixed a stuck fermentation once,
Right.
you'd walk them through the whole scenario. What was happening, what steps you took to diagnose the problem,
Yeah.
what actions you implemented, and ultimately what the outcome was.
Precisely. And remember, even if you haven't had extensive professional experience,
Up.
in a cider-making environment, you can still draw on relevant situations
Okay.
from other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever have to think on your feet and solve a problem in a fast-paced job? Or maybe you had a challenging project where you needed to adjust your approach based on unexpected setbacks.
Yeah.
Those experiences can all demonstrate your ability to troubleshoot effectively.
And guess what? RoleCatcher actually has a feature where their AI
Oh, cool.
can analyze your work history and suggest specific examples that would make compelling star stories,
Wow.
even ones you might not think are relevant at first glance.
That's amazing.
Talk about a secret weapon.
Absolutely. They even provide sample answers and AI feedback
Yeah. No way.
to help you structure your responses using that STAR method.
Wow.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
That's amazing.
So far, we've covered like experience, quality control, troubleshooting. But let's shift gears now and talk about an aspect that's absolutely non-negotiable in any food or beverage production environment.
Okay.
Safety.
Yeah, that's a big deal, especially when you're dealing with fermentation and all the equipment and processes involved.
For sure.
It's not just about making great cider, it's about making it safely and responsibly.
Right.
So how do we knock their socks off when they hit us with the question, how do you ensure safety and sanitation in the cider fermentation process?
So first and foremost, you want to demonstrate a solid understanding of those industry standard protocols.
Okay.
This includes everything from proper cleaning and sanitizing techniques to using the correct personal protective equipment like gloves and masks.
Right.
And just being aware of potential hazards like chemicals and fumes.
Right, because it's kind of like working in a science lab, except the end result is a delicious beverage instead of a groundbreaking scientific discovery.
Exactly.
But seriously, safety comes first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, beyond just knowing the rules, you also want to show the interviewer that you can put them into action. So be prepared for a question like, tell us about a time you handled a safety or sanitation issue.
Gotcha.
This is your chance to highlight a situation where you not only followed procedures, but also took initiative to ensure a safe outcome.
Okay, so let's say you noticed a potential contamination issue, or maybe a piece of equipment wasn't working properly.
Okay.
How would you structure your answer to really impress the interviewer?
Again, the STAR method is your best friend here.
Okay.
Clearly describe the situation, explain the task at hand, outline the specific actions that you took, and then highlight the positive result you achieved.
And here's where RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful.
Oh, nice.
It can actually analyze a company's safety protocols, which you can often find online, and then help you weave those specifics into your response.
Oh, that's smart.
That shows you've done your research and are truly invested in their work environment.
It's all about going that extra mile to show you're the perfect fit.
Right.
Now, switching back to the technical side of things,
Okay.
you'll likely get some questions about your knowledge of yeast strains.
Yeah.
Something like, can you tell us about your experience with different yeast strains?
Yeah, we touched on this a bit earlier, but it's worth diving a little deeper. I mean, yeast is the heart and soul of fermentation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if you don't consider yourself a yeast expert,
Sure.
you should be able to demonstrate a genuine interest and some basic understanding of how different strains can influence that final product.
So, for instance, knowing that an English ale yeast might give you a fruitier cider, while a champagne yeast strain could create a drier, crisper finish.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can actually help you brush up on your yeast knowledge
Oh, awesome.
by providing information on common cider yeast strains and their flavor profiles.
So it's like having a cider-making study guide right in your pocket.
It is.
Okay, so we've got experience, quality troubleshooting, safety, and yeast knowledge under our belt. What else should we be prepared for?
Well, running a successful cider operation isn't just about understanding fermentation. It's also about being organized, efficient, and detail-oriented.
Right.
So be ready for questions about time management, task prioritization, and record keeping.
So, like, how do you manage your time and prioritize tasks during the cider fermentation process? Or how do you maintain accurate records and documentation? Those kinds of things.
You got it. These questions might seem less exciting than talking about yeast strains or troubleshooting funky fermentations, but they're crucial nonetheless.
Yeah.
The interviewer wants to know that you can handle the day-to-day operational aspects of the role.
So it's not just about being a cider enthusiast. It's also about being a responsible, organized professional who can keep things running smoothly.
Right. Think back to past experiences where you've had to juggle multiple tasks, meet deadlines, or maintain meticulous records. Maybe you coordinated a complex project, managed a busy schedule, or kept detailed logs in a previous job.
Yeah.
Those experiences can all be relevant here.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you connect the dots between those seemingly unrelated experiences
Right.
and the skills needed for a cider fermentation operator role. Their AI is like having a personal skills translator.
Absolutely. Speaking of staying ahead of the curve,
Okay.
one of the final questions you're likely to encounter is, how do you stay up to date on industry trends and new cider fermentation techniques?
This is where you get to show off your passion for the craft and your dedication to continuous learning. After all, the cider world is constantly evolving with new techniques and trends emerging all the time.
Exactly. So think about how you stay informed.
Okay.
Do you read industry publications, attend conferences, participate in online forums, or follow innovative cider producers on social media?
It's all about showing them that you're not just content with what you know now, but that you're actively seeking out new knowledge and ways to improve your skills.
And don't forget to mention that you use RoleCatcher as a resource for staying up to date.
Of course.
Their platform provides access to a wealth of information, including career guides, skill guides, and insights into industry trends.
So it's like having a personal cider-making mentor in your pocket.
It is. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have, from highlighting your experience to demonstrating your knowledge of fermentation troubleshooting skills, safety protocols.
It's a lot. And even your passion for staying current in the field.
Absolutely. And by now, you should be feeling much more confident about tackling those interview questions head on.
I hope so.
But there's one more crucial element to acing that interview.
Oh, okay.
Making a memorable impression and really showcasing your personality and enthusiasm.
Okay, so how do we go beyond just answering the questions and really wow them with our cider-making passion? That's what we'll uncover when we come back for the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we're back.
We are back.
Ready to put those finishing touches on your interview prep.
Yes, let's polish it up.
We've covered so much already.
Yeah. I know, right?
From showcasing your experience to tackling those tricky questions about troubleshooting and safety. But
Right.
now it's time for the grand finale.
Okay, the grand finale.
How to leave that lasting impression and really convince them that you are the cider maestro they've been searching for.
That's what we want.
So how do we do that? How do we inject that extra oomph
Yeah.
into our answers and really make them sit up and take notice?
Well, remember earlier when we mentioned RoleCatcher's Career Guide?
Yeah.
It highlights some of the amazing perks of this career path, like
Okay.
working in a rapidly growing industry, becoming a true fermentation expert,
Right.
and having that chance to experiment with all sorts of unique cider flavors.
Yeah.
Let that excitement shine through in your answers.
Okay. So don't be afraid to let your cider geek flag fly.
Let it fly.
If you're genuinely excited about the prospect of crafting delicious, innovative ciders,
Yeah.
that passion will be contagious.
It will be. And it's not just about expressing enthusiasm in general.
Yeah.
It's also about aligning those passions with the specific company you're interviewing with.
So it's about showing them you've done your homework
You got it.
and that you're not just looking for any cider making job, you're specifically interested in working with them.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can be a huge help with this.
Okay.
Their AI can analyze the job description and the company's online profiles to give you insights into their culture, their values, and their priorities.
So for instance, if the company emphasizes using locally sourced ingredients or sustainable practices, you could highlight your interest in those areas.
Exactly. It's like speaking their language.
I like it.
Now, another way to make a strong impression is to ask thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
Ooh, good point. It shows you're engaged and genuinely curious about the company and the role.
Absolutely.
But what kind of questions should we ask?
So avoid asking things that are easily answered with a quick Google search.
Sure.
Instead, focus on questions that demonstrate a deeper understanding of their operation or their future plans. You could ask about their approach to experimenting with new cider styles, their distribution strategy,
Okay.
or even how they see the cider industry evolving in the next few years.
So questions that show we're not just thinking about the job itself, but about the bigger picture of cider making.
Exactly. And here's one final tip that can really make you stand out.
Okay, alrighty.
Think about your ideal cider. What unique qualities would you strive for?
Right.
How does that reflect your personal approach to cider making?
Wow, that's a great idea. So rather than just reciting generic answers about wanting to make high-quality cider, we could paint a vivid picture of our cider-making philosophy.
Right. If you can articulate your vision in a way that aligns with the company's values, it will leave a lasting impression and show them that you're not just a skilled cider maker, but a passionate artisan who's truly invested in the craft.
I love that. So
Yeah.
to sum it all up, it's about being prepared, being enthusiastic, and being genuinely. You let your passion shine through, showcase your knowledge, and don't be afraid to let your personality sparkle.
And remember, RoleCatcher is your ally. Throughout this journey, their AI-powered tools and resources can help you craft killer answers, practice with feedback, and ultimately walk into that interview with confidence.
Absolutely. To all you aspiring cider masters out there, we wish you the best of luck in your job search. Go forth and ferment amazing things.
Cheers to that, and remember, the world needs more delicious cider, so make it happen.
That's it for this deep dive into acing your cider fermentation operator interview. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Until next time, happy fermenting.